Tom, my whole life there was always that the other people putting limiting beliefs on me or putting their limits on me. Like from the moment I was born, the doctors handed over a list to my parents who were like, Mr. and Mrs. Santanastasso, your son survived this super crazy thing, but here's all the things he won't be able to do. And my parents threw that list out and they weren't gonna let other people put limitations on me. And so they always just were firm believers like, Nick, you can do whatever you want. Your mindset is the biggest superpower, and they always engraved that into me. And so, I told these people, I said, you're right, I'm not gonna become a wrestler. I'm gonna be a varsity wrestler, and you're kind of gonna watch, and I'm gonna try my best. And that was always my thing, is like, as long as I try my best, as long as I attempt it, then that's not failing. Because there's a lot of people in life, whether it's in their personal life or in their business life, and they sit on the sideline and are like, man, I don't have the resources, I can't build a business, or I'm not old enough, I don't have the knowledge, or I'm too old that I can't build a business. And I always tell people, I'd much rather be in the trenches. I'd much rather be on the field than sitting on the sideline wasting time and thinking, man, I can't do that. So my whole view of life is like, I would try everything. My thing is like, why not? I'm just gonna try everything. And like we said before, like I know everything's gonna be hard. And I feel like when, like even now kids or some people, if they quit because things are hard, they just haven't done uncomfortable things enough. They haven't got out of their comfort zone enough and experienced, what that discomfort is. And so now for me, it's just, I know everything's gonna be challenging. And like the Camp Out How thing, like people say, maybe mindset mumbo jumbo, but like the majority of not only entrepreneurs, but human beings, like we start off with can't. Like the majority of people are like, oh, you can't do this because this, and this. And it's like humans are very disempowering creatures. Like if we don't catch our thoughts, if we don't catch our patterns, if we don't catch the things that come out of our mouth, if they're negative, like we need to switch that. And so now me, like my guys, everything is how. Like, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna, get through this problem? And let's reverse engineer everything. And so if I just want people to realize, like, they have everything inside of them to do whatever they need to do. Over the 23 years of my life, I've realized that it's not this physical body. People can see me on the street and be like, wow, look how disabled that guy is. And I'll be like, have you seen your mindset? Like, have you seen the way you operate? Like, have you seen the way that you react to situations, that you're pissed off in traffic, that you think the world is happening to you? Like, I'm not disabled, like you're handicapped. And to let people know that, like, the biggest and baddest people are handicapped and crippled by the limiting beliefs, the things that they tell themselves. And that's why I say the biggest disability is a bad mindset. It's not this body. Like realizing, like, you know the saying, the world's happening for you and not to you, but like my whole thing is like the victim mentality. Like I went from victim to victor, realizing like we can play off of every situation. Like right now we're floating through plane energy, and like someone comes up to you and calls you a name, like it's up to you whether you react in a negative way or a positive way. And like people are pissed off that they're in traffic, but you realize that you woke up today and you're breathing. Like, and so I say start little. Say that is, I'm gonna wake up 15 minutes earlier this whole week, and you do it, boom, like great job. Or I'm gonna do yoga, or I'm gonna go to the gym, this amount of times, or I'm gonna eat healthy. Whatever those little goals are for you, start little, and then work your way up. Because like humans love the feeling of progress. And I've realized, looking back at my days, like my lowest days, my most like darkest days, are the days where like I'm sitting around too long and I'm not doing much. I'm not moving the needle forward in any area of my life. I'm kind of being like a bum. And so I always tell people it's a good thing I have one finger, the one finger technique, and that is doing one thing today that you know is going to evolve you into a better human being. And that could be a big thing, but it could be a small thing too, like knowledge. Like it could be, I read 10 pages of a book today, and I evolved. I learned a little bit more than I did today, or I asked that question, I learned something. Like people need to start small, whatever area you're at in your life, but just start small. So I would tell people to set these little micro goals, and just commit. And then like every time you commit and you don't follow through, you're diminishing yourself, like your self-integrity, the value. Like how do you value yourself? Like how do you want to show up? Like do you want to, like if I told you I was going to show up here and I didn't show up here, like that's terrible. Like I just diminished not only my self-integrity with myself, but with you as well, my word. And so like if we're viewing ourselves as the most important thing, we're like our body, our temple, like don't diminish your self-value. If you say you're going to commit to something, follow through, and I promise you're going to feel so much better on the other side because you followed through and you're like, wow, I actually did what I said I was gonna do. Like, oh my God, it's amazing. Nelson Mandela has this quote, in life I don't lose, I only win or learn. Like if people can realize, like so many people think like they've lost, but like if you just pull one piece of information that's good, whether it's a different perspective, extracting knowledge, a different way to go about life, a different way to not fall on your face, like that's winning. Like I just want people to continuously be the victors of their life and realize that life is all about perspective. The lens we look through, like you can have that victim, you can look at things and be the victim, or you can look at things and see all the positive in the world. And the fact that we're literally spinning on a rock in the universe. Well, we call it the universe. We don't really know what it is, but we're literally spinning on a rock right now, and we have the ability to be conscious and experience the human experience, which is wild. And so that's how I want to shift people's perspective, is realizing like, man, this guy's got no legs and one arm, but he's doing all these amazing things, and letting people know like, you have everything inside of you to do whatever you need, but you need to get this right. Your operating system, your computer system, through the simulation that we live in, whatever it may be.
I used to think Jim Carrey is all that I was. Just a flickering light, a dancing shadow, the great nothing masquerading as something you can name, an archer searching for his target in the mirror, wounded only by my own arrows, begging to be enslaved, pleading for my chains, blinded by longing and tripping. Now, fear is going to be a player in your life, but you get to decide how much. You can spend your whole life imagining ghosts, worrying about the pathway to the future, but all there will ever be is what's happening here, in the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it. Because life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. You know, I watched the effect of my father's love and humor and how it altered the world around me. And I thought, that's something to do. That's something worth my time. When I was about 28, after a decade as a professional comedian, I realized one night in LA that the purpose of my life had always been to free people from concern, just like my dad. How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. As someone who's done what you're about to go and do, I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Sometimes I think that's the only thing that's important, really, you know? Is just letting each other know we're here, reminding each other that we're part of a larger self.
Well, now, what was all this? This Zen is a translation of the Sanskrit word jhana. And so this is being pronounced Chan in Chinese and Zen in Japanese. Is unfortunately untranslatable in English. It designates a certain state of consciousness that is sometimes called meditation, but that won't do it all. Contemplation isn't really the point. Chinese have a different word for contemplation. And sometimes one-pointedness of mind. I would prefer to translate this word with the notion of total presence of mind. When we say a person is crazy, we often say they're not all there. Now go to the opposite of that and visualize a person who is completely there, or who is completely here. A person who lives totally and absolutely now. That doesn't mean he's incapable of thinking about the past or the future, because thoughts about the past and about the future are included in the present. You have them now. But imagine the kind of person who is not distracted, who when he talks to you, it really gives you his whole being, who doesn't, as it were, look over your shoulder and wander off to something else. Somebody who, first of all, he's completely here, and he's so much here that you can't faze him. Now this idea of phasing is crucial in Zen. You see, I referred a moment ago to attachment, that Buddhism is living free from attachments. And I made the point that this is not abandoning a sense of a good appetite for dinner, but it's stopping sticking. In psychological jargon, you don't block. A mind of no hesitation, it's sometimes called.
So I found this place in Colorado. It's called the Tara Mandala Buddhist Monastery. They have these like cabins that are, each one is set up for you to be like totally alone. So I get to the monastery, this guy Pema, sweet dude, he's like, put your stuff in the back of the truck, drives me up. He's like, here's the wooden stove, here's like the axe. There's a radio, like if you're dying, call us, but if not, like, do your thing. And he just left me. And there was no like guidance, man, he was just like, see you in a week. And there was a clock there, but I thought, well, since I'm here, I'll see what it's like without clocks too. And I put that in the drawer, and I never took it out. And so there's like a meditation cushion there, and I sit on it, close my eyes. And the first thing my mind does is starts to make up tasks for me to accomplish. So I'm sitting there and it's like, you know, there's some spices that whoever was here before you left, you should really like organize those and put them in like the right order, maybe alphabetical. And it's like, you know, you haven't exercised today, you should probably like run up that hill 3 times, you know. How many of your so-called goals, you know, are just there because you're scared of being alone in a room? You're just making them up to feel productive. There's a quote, I think it's Blaise Pascal, he says, I might have a word or two off, he says, all of man's problems stem from the fact that he cannot sit quietly alone in a room. It turns out, man, it's like really hard to do that, you know. So that was one lesson, you know, and there were periods, I don't want to glorify it, and there were periods of like real, boredom's not strong enough, like despair when I was there. I wake up one day, this may be the day too, and like, I have my options. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna go to the bathroom in the outhouse, I'm gonna meditate, I'm gonna drink water, I'm gonna go for a walk. And I can't decide what order to do those in. Like literally that, because no one else is there to talk to, and no one, so I'm watching my mind. Like that's the show. And this is what my mind does all the time, but I'm really noticing, like, that's how I live my life. Normally, I can't decide what to do. Am I doing it right is the real underlying question. And that implies that there's a right way to do life. And so that was like lesson 2 was the only wrong way to do a day is to believe there's a right way to do a day. You know, it's to waste your time worrying about if you're doing it right. That's the only wrong way, you know? So then I decide, tomorrow, I'm gonna just do what I want the whole time. So I wake up, crack of dawn, sun's not up yet. And I'm looking at everything around me is changing. Even the body, like this body's different than it was a year ago. You know, like these fingernails are longer than they were when I got here. I'm noticing everything's changing except for like the I in me. And I've tried to change that, but it doesn't work. And so, you know, people throw around that word like present. Like I felt freaking present. But then I realized I always will be present. So the rest of my life will just be exactly like that.
This concept of things just sort of falling into place. I'm a big believer in that too.
Yeah.
What is that though? Is that you getting out of your own way? Like what is that? Is it?
Isn't that 70% of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's 70% maintenance of what can I do to do my part to stay out of the way. And then the other part, I always think of it as like this little super thin, invisible thread. But you can feel the tug, and you just you have to be really gentle, and you have to pause when agitated, and you have to go for it when you go like, there's 4 walls in here, which one has the map behind it? It's that one. And you knock down the wall and it's there,
Yeah, what is that though? That's a
synchronicity, intuition.
But labeling it is very dangerous because it's so filled with woo.
Because it's the commodity that you can't capitalize on, and yet if you don't show proof of its existence, you shouldn't even be qualified to speak on it. I don't know.
Right.
It's the big I don't know.
But
That's
when
why
it
it's so great.
happens, whether it happens with love or with friendship or with a career or with a path you're taking, you just know there's a smile, there's an inner smile like, yeah, this is it.
Well put.
I found it. This is it. I'm supposed to be doing this. Here we go. That you do appreciate it. One of the saddest things is someone who's in an amazing position who doesn't appreciate it. And that drives other people crazy too. Like prima donnas drive people crazy for a variety of reasons, but one of the big ones is you don't appreciate how fortunate you are. And people love when people appreciate good fortune and appreciate a well-earned position and are, engrossed in a beautiful life of something that they really enjoy and something that really inspires them.
Well, I need to be kept right-sized, because I can easily fall into self-seeking and depression and self-pity and judgment and all that stuff. It's kind of it's a bit of a default, but I spend enough energy and I've had enough help over enough years to actually just say, oh, that's just awful, destructive behavior you're entertaining in your head,
Bad patterns, just bad thought patterns.
Yeah.
I think we could all fall into those. I'm ruthlessly self-critical, and for me sometimes it's very hard to step outside and just take a pause and recognize that not everything's going to be right the first time you try it. I think that a lot of people that are really great at things, it's one of the things about them is that they're not very satisfied with their work. They're always looking to improve it. They're always looking for it to be better, and then that can start that cycle in their head of self-loathing and anxiety and anger at their performance or their work or whatever it is.
No.
And then that can lead to depression. That can lead to just self-hate. And it's the work. It's there's so many things involved, right? There's so many moving pieces. You have to be working on your own mind to learn how to get out of your own way. You also have to be really engrossed in whatever the activity is that you're doing, obsessed, in love with it, passionate about it. And then you have to have the discipline to show up and actually do the work.
Our eyes are not viewers. They are also projectors that are running a second story over the picture that we see in front of us all the time. Fear is writing that script. And the working title is, I'll Never Be Enough. I did something that made people present their best selves to me wherever I go. And that peace that we're after lies somewhere beyond personality, beyond the perception of others, beyond invention and disguise, even beyond effort itself. You can join the game, fight the wars, play with form all you want, but to find real peace, you have to let the armor go. Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Don't let anything stand in the way of the light that shines through this form. Risk being seen in all of your glory, because ultimately, we're not the avatars we create. We're not the pictures on the film stock. We are the light that shines through. All else is just smoke and mirrors, distracting, but not truly compelling. I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion. Like many of you, I was concerned about going out into the world and doing something bigger than myself. until someone smarter than myself made me realize that there is nothing bigger than myself. My soul is not contained within the limits of my body. My body is contained within the limitlessness of my soul. The imagination is always manufacturing scenarios, both good and bad, and the ego tries to keep you trapped in the multiplex of the mind. And if you listen to it, there will always be someone who's doing better than you. No matter what you gain, ego will not let you rest. It will tell you that you cannot stop until you've left an indelible mark on the earth, until you've achieved immortality. How tricky is this ego that it would tempt us with the promise of something we already possess? I'm just making a conscious choice to perceive challenges as something beneficial so that I can deal with them in the most productive way. You'll come up with your own style. That's part of the fun. You will only ever have two choices: love or fear. Choose love. Don't ever let fear turn you against your playful heart.